Hey everybody, we're here for the VanBassador with Brian Benavidez from Mural Ride Bike Tours.
Correct.
This is accurate. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
How did you get started? What is this Mural Ride Bike Tours?
Mural Ride Bike Tours is a bike tour based out of San Antonio, Texas. We've been operating since 2018, and it all started from a community ride. I was posting a lot of social media around my bright green bicycle in front of Murals. People liked it and they said, how can I join? And I just started doing it for free until one of my rides got up to about 300 people. And I thought, maybe this is something that I can do as a business. And I've been doing it ever since. I made it on the news. The news said, meet Brian at this high school. And 300 people showed up with their own bicycles. And I was expecting my average was probably 30 people. So it went from like 30 to almost 300, and it was great because nobody died.
Yeah.
And so it turned
Low
out.
bar, yeah,
exactly. But it did. Everybody had a great experience.
And then since then, you continue to do this do you have a limit now as to how many people?
Yeah. So now I supply the bikes, but they can bring their own, and I feel comfortable leading groups of 30. We've tried doing corporate tours up to 50, and we'll do it with multiple guides along the way. But the snake gets a little bit too long, so people are starting to, are not able to hear me towards the end.
How did you get started, and why are you uniquely qualified to be the guy who runs this company?
So how I got this started is, at the time when I started doing this, I was taking pictures of the artwork, and I was tagging the artist, and I really started to get to know who that artist was. And kind of more importantly, who that artist is and what neighborhood we were in. And I started creating this community around my site and myself and the artist in the area. Now, fast forward into 2025, I now have those really deep-rooted collaborations and connections with the artists. And now even with business owners and bartenders and chefs, and like I can really tell that story in what I call my version of San Antonio, which there's a very big San Antonio culture, but there's also a street art culture. And I think some of the subsets in street art can be the food scene, the cocktail scene, really just anything. And so I now live, play, and work in downtown San Antonio. So I think that sets me far apart than anybody else that's trying to do anything like this anywhere else in San Antonio.
People from different cultures that see the murals, and do they have different reactions from each other on a single mural, for example?
When we do get people from different cultures, different countries, outside of the US, the one thing that they can relate to is that maybe from where they're coming from, they're used to a street art culture. They're used to seeing these murals. And so there's something uniquely connecting them already because they have something similar to this in their backyard. And so a lot of times it's not expected to come to San Antonio to see this. Maybe they're coming to San Antonio to see just the Alamo, the Riverwalk. They're coming to see the Old West of the United States. But when they're on my tour and they see the color and the street art, then there's some sort of connection that they can relate to from back where they're from.
Are there certain countries in the world that have more murals than others?
There's a really big street art community in France, in South America. I recently got back from the Netherlands, and they had a really big street art festival that happens annually and a really big street art warehouse. And so I think the United States is still small in regards to their street art culture. I think it's a little bit more blossomed and elevated in other places across the world.
Yes, in the US, I think we tend to feel like street art is graffiti, and graffiti is bad and it's dirty, and other countries actually celebrate it.
Yeah. Yes. Interesting enough, you know, a lot of people would say that street art was created at the same time as hip hop and breakdancing was happening, like in the early '80s, late '70s in New York. And so, like, the U.S. created it, but we don't embrace it as much as a Brazil or an Amsterdam. I mean, there's just other cities and other countries that celebrate this to the point where it's a whole part of their ecosystem and their booming economy, where a lot of the cities of San Antonio still see it as graffiti, as if it was something that was done back in the 1970s, 80s, and stuff like that.
Brian Benavidez from Mural Ride Bike Tours in San Antonio. If you go there, check it out. also, if you go to any of these countries that Brian's mentioned, there's an amazing scene for murals and some amazing artwork. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Check out the VanBassador for the intersect of commerce and culture. Amazing people who are entrepreneurs creating businesses that are really enlightening us all. So thanks a lot.
Thanks.